welcome to the podcast. Glad to be here. Thanks for being here, everybody. It's good to be here with you, whatever that means. Before we get started, as always, make sure you subscribe to the podcast down below over here. And make sure you stop this right now and you take this link and you send it to 2 friends. Send it to 2 friends that you like them, you don't like them, whatever's going on. However you feel about the podcast, just put this in a couple people's DMs and let them know what's going on. It's July 5th, the day after our... I'm done
with this already. I'm trying to do these little music clips before we get started. I'm not feeling it today. Let's play the whole thing, though, because it was cool. Here we go. There. All right, whatever. So it's July 5th. I don't know if you can tell. I'm in a new spot. You can maybe check that out. There used to be windows and shit here. Now it's the records. But I'm in a new house. New house is great. I'm still in Nashville. We had some Nashville protests the other day, which I did attend, which is pretty interesting. I learned that I am a hater for sure. That's what I learned about being at the protest, because I cared. I definitely cared about the cause. It was one of these progressive rallies, that they're talking about on the news when they're saying there's all these rioters. It was very. What was crazy to me was zero litter. Which camera am I on? This camera? Is it this camera? No litter. I saw so many people picking up trash also in the small amount of trash there was, and who knows if it even came from the protest. We probably walked at least 3 miles in the protest, in the streets, up sidewalks. I walked back pretty much the whole way we came, and there was no trash in the park that we were in, anywhere. That was pretty crazy. And everybody was wearing masks, which was nice. And anybody that didn't have a mask, people were pulling out masks and handing them out, telling them to, not like rudely, but just being like, here, I have a mask. Nobody rude, everybody cool. Everybody just, hey, if you need a mask here, I got one for you. People's would snap or break, or they'd get sweaty. A person would come up and be like, hey, if you want a backup mask, you see my night pants. I'm unemployed as hell in here right now. I am so unemployed. Comedy club is closed. I don't know if anybody, oh my God, D.L. Hughley. R.I.P., dude. I was at the D.L. Hughley show where he passed out on stage. And a lot of people, you wouldn't know this, but I'm the person that comes on at the end of the video and gets on the microphone and goes, everybody just remain calm. We have everything under control. That's what I said. I said, everybody just relax. Everybody just stay calm. We got everything under control. And then I'm glad the video cuts off, because then what you don't hear is I play Stand By, or what is it, Lean On Me by Bill Withers. It's just sometimes in our lives, and a lady literally goes, they play Lean On Me. she yells out, she goes, at a huge pop. I got a huge pop. And honestly, I did it. I knew it was not a good idea. Which camera am I on? Is it this camera? I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. But I did it anyway, because I knew I was uncomfortable as hell, and I was panicking, and I knew everybody was about to panic, and I knew everybody was about to run out the door. That's what I knew. Run out the door. That's what everybody was about to do. So I wanted everybody the last thing they heard on the microphone cannot be the security guard grab and go, I got you, bro, I got you, and then the mic just hitting the ground, and then the guy in the audience goes, lay him on his side. He's just screaming. Oh my God. That shit was unbelievable. This is what happened. This is literally what happened. I'm sitting there about to eat tacos. I'm eating tacos. I got my tacos. I got a salsa verde. I got a container of salsa. And I'm going to put it on the tacos. And I hear like the crowd go like, what? And I was like, that's weird. And you kind of get, when you're in the comedy club a lot, you get kind of fine-tuned to, like, if something's up, you could just kind of sense it, right? So I just run out there, and as I'm running out there is when the security guard is grabbing him and he's hitting the ground. So I just run up to the sound booth. I'm watching what's happening. And they just drag his ass off the stage, bro. Like two arms that they're grabbing his feet, and he's just fucking going in the green room. That shit was absolutely insane. I'd never seen anything like that in my entire life. And then I just said, everybody just be cool. And then the comedy club closed for 2 weeks. So I don't know how I feel about that. But I saw my roommate outside. They're doing all kinds of gardening. I got a great residence now, y'all. If you're friends with me and you're watching this podcast, there's probably anybody that's going to listen to it. It's just somebody that personally knows me. You got to come see my new house. I'm living lavish. I got 2 ovens in this bitch. 2 ovens. It's a double stack oven, and there's a dual control panels. No dials, though. I do this. It's all digital. Beep, boop, beep, 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 like Star Trek. Like motherfucking Star Trek.
This shit is Star Trek. Got 2 ovens. That wasn't good.
I thought I was gonna do spit a quick 16 about my oven, but it didn't come to me. Anyway, I kind of the D.L. Hughley thing is crazy. So comedy, that kind of has been the beginning of like Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen, the fighters and the kids, them fighters and them kids. They got the COVID-19 and they did shows in Houston for like 350 people a night, and they had to have already had COVID at the time, more than likely. And their opener as well, Stevie Blue Eyes, got it. And apparently Stevie Blue Eyes is sick as hell. That motherfucker sick as hell. So that's comedy's dying. You know, Nikki Glazer was supposed to be here in Nashville, and she just canceled. She's supposed to be here next weekend. So I don't really know what the fuck's going on. You know, they released a new initiative that they were like, you can't, for the next 14 days, this was on last Friday, it's July 5th, that you can't have any businesses open that make the majority of their money from alcohol sales. Now, that being said, I don't know if a comedy club makes the majority of its money from ticket sales or food or alcohol sales. So I don't know how you deal with that. I don't know how that's how's it defined? I don't know. But I do know this. Anything could change at any moment, and I'm out of work, baby. I'm in night pants. That's where it all came from. Night pants, baby. So Night Pants Nation. Shout out Ryan Sickler. So so D.L. Hughley's died in front of me, and then we had Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen are killing a bunch of their fans. Brendan Schaub was out there on podcast going, he's like, bro, I will lick the people's faces in the meet and greet. That's how he just doesn't think the coronavirus is that serious, which is, you know, this is his right to endanger his fans if they hear him say that and they want to pay the money to see him. It's his right. It's his right to do that. That's his right. It's his right to do that. Let him kill his fans. I mean, I was a fan. I'm obviously know what's going on. I'm watching the shit. Whatever, dude. But Nashville protests, I kind of backed out on my hard stance on that I was a hater. This is what I found, though. I found that when people do a lot of the chants, this was a chant that was happening. Like all the chants that were like they did a hands up, don't shoot. I really like that one because everybody puts their hands up. Everybody goes, he'll go hands up, don't shoot, and then you just do that over and over, right? And I got right by a guy with a megaphone. The guy had a megaphone, and I was like, I'm gonna be with the megaphone guy. And we had some lady gave us flowers, right? And me and the megaphone guy got the same flower. So and he was a young black guy, I'm a young white guy. It looked like we were together, right? So he's on the megaphone with his flower. He put his flower in his megaphone, and then I had my camera bag, and I put my flower in my camera bag. So when people were doing equally intense chants, but he's got the megaphone, it's like all this white guys helping amplify black voices, and it's like I really was. So that felt good. The hands up, don't shoot was great. And then the no justice, no peace, no racist police. Big fan of that one. That one was good. And then we really only did those. There was one time we did show me or what democracy looks like, and this is what democracy looks like. We'd be like, show me what, and we got some guys with some drums found us with a megaphone, and they were like, doop, 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 doop. And so we got like a cool little like a dance going down the, show me what democracy look like. So that was kind of fun. And then, but when I was walking back, So we did the protest. I didn't know what was going on. We got to a street and we stood there for like forever and didn't move. We did a moment of silence. Some people were up somewhere giving speeches and I could hear nothing that was going on. And then on the way back, there were people that were doing these chants. So the thing gets over and they're like, y'all can whatever. And then I found a bunch of people going back to where we had started. And they were going something about liar. They were going, native people used to live here. Liar, liar, colonizer. And then they would go, black people used to live here. Liar, liar, gentrifier. Right? And that was one that I was like, dang, tough to be white. I was like, oh, liar, liar, colonizer. It's like, shoo. I was like, I've been poor for a long time. I don't know if you guys know that, but that was one where and then oh man, that was one where I was like, I can't. It's like if I'm chanting this, I hate myself, and I just want to. That is what made me go. That I might be a hater, you know. I might be an internal. And also, people were giving speeches, and they were kids, like high school kids. And I see comedy all the time, live comedy, like world-class live comedy. And my friends that are Nashville comedians, they're pretty decent comedians, and some of them are very good comedians. So I'm used to seeing people doing a public speaking thing that's like, it's like pretty well rehearsed, right? And these kids are bombing. I'm not going to lie, bro. These kids are out here. One guy did a spoken word, and he probably did the best out of everybody, but it was too long. And it was like, at one point, it was just too much information for me. I was like, you could, you know, and this is me being a hater, being like, this is not the comedy mindset does not belong at a social justice rally. Like, what kind of insanity? Like, I'm being a hater, right? And so I'm going, oh, just listen to what people are saying. But then speech after speech, they just bombing out here, bro. They were, and a girl kept going. One girl was in the middle of her speech, and her friend interrupted her and told her to slow down. And the girl, you couldn't hear any of that, but the girl's in the middle of going, and she's intense in her speech, and he was actually doing pretty okay. And she goes, what is it? Oh, you think I should slow down? Okay. And then she's like, oh, I got to find my... And she's on her phone, and then the brightness, it was so bright outside. And she couldn't see the screen, so she kept skipping lines and going back. And then strong finish. She did a strong finish. But then at the end, she goes, thank you, and walked off stage. So I was like, oh, you never want to be like, she might as well just been like, I just bombed out here and then left stage. So I was bringing all that unnecessary criticism in my mind. I didn't say anything, obviously. Obviously I didn't say anything. But these, you know, I had a lot of respect for. This is what I did. Like the guy with the megaphone, he kept stopping. Every time he'd stop, he'd look around and he'd be like, "Man, this is beautiful." You know, he'd go, "This is beautiful." And then I kind of, maybe I've just been desensitized to like everything in life, and I'm a horrible piece of shit. But I was like, it's cool. I definitely thought it was cool. But this guy was like, this is beautiful, you know, and I just was trying to feel that way, and I don't know. I couldn't help but feel at certain times, like there were times where we would be stopped right in the street. Everybody would just stop for something, and we didn't really know what we were doing. Like when nobody knew what was going on, nobody knew what direction. Like we'd stop at a street corner, and it was probably some planned photo op thing or some planned stop or something in front of some places. I bet that's what it was. But it felt, when you're far from the front, it's just like nobody knows what's going on. Also, people would lose energy with the chanting quick. And I felt like, I mean, I guess there's no other way for me to feel that way. But when I was chanting, I felt like the energy was going pretty well. I was like, but I was obviously because I was like yelling. But when I wasn't chanting, I could feel people, or you hear people like dying out. You hear people like struggling to stay with it, and you can feel other people's energy of like they want to keep they're trying to keep it up. And like anytime they do a Black Lives Matter chant, it was like that was the one where it's like a contest to like we can't, like we're gonna do this one until everybody can't stand to do it. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was funny because it's not funny, but it was observing that, like that people were just like, we can't. All right, whoever quits on this one is a piece of shit. That's what it felt like, you know. So I had to keep going. And definitely when they do the Black Lives Matter one, I was like, I gotta get in on this one for sure. So the protests were cool. Some girl passed out literally right at the end. People were screaming, medic. A lot of people don't know how to handle pressure situations, so people are like crowding around trying to get a look, and people are yelling they don't need to yell. They're not going to help with anything. So that was interesting. But other than that, it was like we had a big moment of silence thing, and then everybody kneeled down and sat down on the street. That was pretty cool. Somebody was flying a drone around. That made me really uncomfortable. But all in all, everybody was very nice. Everybody was very respectful of the mask thing, the distance. You know, it's hard to keep distance, but nobody's like touching that didn't know each other. I literally didn't touch. It's crazy to think like if you went to a music festival or you went to a big crowd of people, to be in that crowd and not be bumped or touched by anybody. But I was in a crowd of 5,000 to 10,000 people. I'm not sure how many people were there, but I didn't get touched by a stranger one time, which is pretty crazy. So all the people are at least on a level thoughtful. But what's also obvious as you get out into something like that is all these people, they really care about what's going on, and they're motivated, but they really don't know what to say, like to have a conversation about what's going on. A lot of the time it's like they seem just like kind of overwhelmed. Like it's kind of hard to get a clear, concise opinion out, but it, you know, not everybody's a fucking a politician grade speaker or something like that. So it's you got to give everybody a little bit of leeway when they want to get involved and at a big protest. I think you got to give them a little respect. You got to show them some respect, because I don't know how you can be a hater on that shit, especially the people that are like, they want to go back to work and start other businesses and let people go to bars and let people go to church, but the people are protesting outside with masks on and they're like, these motherfuckers. It's like, how can, you know, you should be supporting it. I don't know. I don't want to get into the politics. Hey, what camera is it? I don't want to get into politics. Come on. But yeah, the protests were cool. I don't really have any complaints. I'm not, you know, there was one guy out there yelling about Jesus at the end, and I did walk up to him. Nobody was walking up to him, right? I saw him from a distance. I could hear him on his megaphone, and I was like, that guy, he's probably saying some fuck shit for sure. So I was just, but nobody's walking up to him. Everybody's just walking past him, not even looking at him. So I was like, maybe he's crazy. So I walked up, and he was yelling about to go to church and for Jesus and stuff. So, you know, shouts out to Jesus and shouts out to that guy. So that's, hey, you know.
Shouts out to Jesus. Shouts out to that guy.
Yeah, all right. So what else do we want to talk about, man? COVID is ruining our lives. The sports are getting canceled left and right. Comedy's over. There's unrest in the streets. I don't know, dude. There's a part of me that doesn't. I don't know if, like, even if you know what has that, this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is, what do you know about this? You know about Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's lady. She was arrested by the FBI, right? So if you know anything about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and I don't want to get murdered by the Clintons on my YouTube page. Hey, what camera am I on? I don't want to be murdered by the Clintons. Hillary, I didn't vote. Hey, I didn't vote for you. Hey, I'm sorry. But I'm not going to slander you, and whatever you do with your family and the, abusing the freedom of the nation, it's none of my business. Hey, it's none of my business, Hillary. But I will tell you this, that shit is crazy, all this. Like, you see Ghislaine Maxwell was at one of the Clintons' daughter's weddings. She's in a photo of Clinton and his daughter walking down the aisle. She's like got her head poking out. She's like, what's up? I'm at this wedding. This is horrible. I didn't try to do a British accent, and then I tried it. I was like, oh, it was close. You did pretty close. And it was horrible. But anyway, if you want to take all this shit, is like, if you take down the government, who's going to be in charge? Poor people? Are the poor people going to be in charge? The kids that are bombing at the speech? I don't know who's going to lead this Chaz in Seattle thing, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I don't know if that was, like, legitimate or not. Like, that part of me thinks that's, like, a big, like that's, like, a counter intelligence government operation or something like that. Shit doesn't make any sense, you know. But because you can't live like that. You can't live with like a fucking, you know, no electricity. Like, who's gonna run the power grid? You know, with the Chaz. You know, if we have an autonomous zone at my house, who's gonna give me power to do my podcast? Because that's what's important. Look, podcast over freedom. If I have to say it, for me personally, not anybody, I can't make that decision for anybody else. But if they're gonna lock me in jail, give me let me do my podcast, you know? I don't know if that's an option. But I'll take podcast over freedom. That's all I want. If you could guarantee, a prison podcast, you're telling me I wouldn't be number one, like, for a week, and I could do Zoom guests? Come on. I'll do prison cast. Prison cast. That's what I'm doing. Welcome. Hey.
Welcome to the Prison Cast. It's David Chasteen. It's the institutionalized prison podcast. And if you don't think it's going to be good, then you don't know anything about the internet.
So, the internet. That's so stupid. The podcast will get better. It's pretty bad. It's pretty not good right now, but that's okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Poor people are dangerous. I did write that in my notes. Yeah, are poor people going to run? Are poor people going to... Are we going to have the first poor president? Who would be... Poor people don't know anything. That's what I was trying to tell my friend Steven Spinola. He hates rich people, right? Because he used to be rich people and he lost it all. So now he doesn't like them, and he's always against them. And he says Jeff Bezos is the evil guy, and Elon Musk is taking children from Mexico. I don't know what he says, but he's not a very nice guy. I will tell you that. And so people should protest him. People should protest Steven Spinola because he hasn't had it. With Cameron Wine, he hasn't had it bad enough. He hasn't had it bad enough, that guy. So should protest him. If you see, tag him online at Mr_McStevie on Twitter and Instagram and tell him that say, I'm protesting you. And he sells pickles and glass and say, I will smash your jars of pickles, I'll smash your glass, and I will not buy it until you do your podcast with your friend David again. That's what you tell him. So, poor people are dangerous. That's what I'm saying. Steven thinks that what are the poor people going to do? The poor people want to eat the rich. That's what they want to do. They want to tear down and live in the autonomous zone. I say it's better to have the illusion of civility than to have a person murder your family. You know, like if a person is like, this is autonomous, you had a tweet I didn't like, and they and they shoot your family in your house. Is that freedom? You know, poor people can barely have a job. That's what I'm finding. I'm poor. You think I'm like killing it? You know, you think I could run society? That's what we're campaigning for right now. Is let's give up people helping. I got to learn how to be an electrician if we get rid of, if we take down the government. I got to learn how to build irrigation systems. I got to stop doing a podcast. That's what we want? That's what you want? No, you want to watch Netflix. That's what you want. There's no Netflix in the autonomous zone. You think The Office, unless you have a generator and DVDs and a DVD player, that's the only way you're getting The Office in the autonomous zone. Anyway, COVID is ruining our lives. That's what we need to focus on. And Epstein is, it's coming back. Epstein's back. The fighter in the COVID. We went over that. I guess we could talk about the UFC fights. That'd be something, huh? The UFC is back. Hey.
The UFC is back. Fight Island is coming to us this Saturday. It's in Abu Dhabi. And what's really
crazy is that Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns was canceled, okay? It was canceled because Gilbert Burns had COVID-19. Gilbert Burns, he had it. His brother Herbert Burns had it. Another one of his cornermen had it. That was the main event. He was in it for the title. And so last night before I was going to sleep, Ariel Helwani broke the news that Jorge Masvidal, is going to sign and fight Kamaru Usman at UFC 251. Now, he threw out an incredible idea. I don't know. There's probably not a lot of professional wrestling fans left out there, but WrestleMania 2 in the WWF, they had the matches in different locations all around the country. I think it was in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Ariel brought up that they should just do, instead of going through all the COVID stuff and the travel and everything, Kamaru Usman and George Masvidal are already in Las Vegas. So why not just have them fight at the Apex Center, which is already set up to do fights for next weekend, and just get a few event staff, and as soon as Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski is over, just switch back to Las Vegas and do the rest of the fight from there, and Kamaru Usman versus George Masvidal, 2-1, we're going to get it. So if you listen to the last podcast, I was super pissed about Gilbert Burns. You know, the fighter pay stuff has been a really big deal, and George Masvidal has been on the front end of that. And to now see him get to be put in, he's taking a fight on a 1 week notice. He's putting himself in a really high pressure situation, taking this fight, a high risk situation, taking a loss to Kamaru Usman. Kamaru's been planning for this fight, but it's been against. Well, I mean, Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman was only announced maybe 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago at the. Maybe not even, huh? But regardless, it's an amazing fight. That's the fight at welterweight that you want anyway. I mean, Gilbert Burns was made the number 1 contender after he beat Tyron Woodley. But Masvidal is the people's champ. He's the people's champ. And we want him. So I'm glad as long as his COVID-19 testing and all those people are COVID-19 negative, we're going to be in good shape. So the rest, I don't know how that fight's going to go. I haven't had enough time, and I don't really even want to think about it because their styles, you don't see Masvidal fight. Well, lately he hasn't been having a lot of long fights. He's been having like finishes, or in his losses he's been finished, or some split decision losses, a lot of them. But his Kamaru Usman is fucking really good, man. And Usman could never make 155 pounds. He couldn't make 155 pounds if his life depended on it. And Masvidal could make 155. I mean, easy still. Like, he's just he doesn't cut weight for 170. So Usman might be considerably stronger, and his wrestling is really, really good. You really don't see Usman use his wrestling very much lately. I mean, against Colby Covington, Colby's a great wrestler too, but he didn't use any wrestling at all. No takedowns from either fighter. So I can't imagine it going the same way this time, but it's going to be a very interesting fight. Then you got Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski for the 145-pound title. I don't know if I previewed this fight on the last podcast, but Volkanovski was so good last time around, and he's so strong, and he has, even though you look at him and Max is taller, Alexander Volkanovski has a much longer reach, like a very, very much longer reach, but it's deceptive because of how short he is and that the power on top of it. Like, I just don't know if Max Holloway, if he wins, he's going to have to really have like perfect performance. He's going to have to put the pressure on. He's going to have to put some real damage on Volkanovski, and I just don't know if it's going to happen with Max at 145 pounds with the fight a little bit on short notice. And I don't know. You never count Max Holloway out, but after seeing the last fight and seeing how Volko was able to match the output, was able to execute with the leg kicks, he's able to counter-strike, to come in with the flurries and to get there first and have the shorter punches on the inside. And then Max Holloway did have some success on one like knee attempt, like a step-in knee, which would be, to see Max institute more of that in the game plan would have to be something that's going to lead to a victory for him. But it's a tough fight. You like both guys a lot, and you really don't want to see either one of them lose, but it's hard to predict Volkanovski losing, and he's got a big chip on his shoulder because he doesn't get a lot of credit as a champion. And even if he beats Max, if he doesn't beat him in an impressive style, he's still going to have, like, you know, he's not going to, if he beats him again, he's not going to have a rematch with him again. But, you know, maybe, assuredly one day, unless Max quits fighting or Volko quits fighting. But the 145-pound division is very competitive, but unfortunately Max Holloway has already fought a lot of those guys, so he's going to have a lot of rematches with people. Max Holloway does really well in a lot of rematches, so it might be really interesting to see him get to fight a lot of people that he's fought before again, fight maybe some of the better contenders, the younger guys that are coming up in the division. So I'm excited. Zabit is coming up soon. I think Zabit is fighting Brian Ortega, which is insane. Those two guys are great. Ortega was on a hot streak coming up before he lost to Holloway. And he's had some injuries, and I don't think he's fought since that fight. But he might. I don't think he fought again. He was supposed to fight Korean Zombie, and then something happened to him again. So, Chan Sung Jung, Korean Zombie, he's still in the division. You got a lot of great guys left in the division for those guys to fight. And the UFC the divisions are, except for light heavyweight and heavyweight, they're all pretty much packed with amazing talent. The women's divisions are getting pretty thin these days, but you got to think here in the near future, there's going to be an emergence of like a lot of great athletes in the female weight divisions all across the UFC, because the sport just hasn't been around for that long. So the first like really good technical emerging stars, we've got them right now. You got Amanda Nunes, you've got Valentina Shevchenko, you've got Weili Zhang, you've got Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose Namajunas. Those are most. Chris Cyborg was around. She's not with the UFC anymore, but that's really what you got in the women's divisions. There's not a whole lot of great. Claudia Gadelha is great, but you watch a lot of these, you don't want to be a hater on, Aspen Ladd or, I can't remember who fought Amanda Nunes last, but these are fighters, maybe they're good at wrestling. They come from a good wrestling background, but their striking just doesn't look, it's not snapping, it's not that quick. Their striking just doesn't look proficient enough to compete against the champions in the divisions right now. Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas, that's not a title fight, but it is one of the build fights on the card at 251. That one's going to be really interesting because Rose Namajunas was knocked out last time by Jessica Andrade. She got slammed on her head while she had her in a Kimura trap. So, Rose was slammed, I think, 3 times from the Kimura trap in that fight, and it just got to the second round. So this time you got to think she's not going to let herself be put in that position. I don't think she's with Coach Trevor Whitman any longer. And Trevor Whitman is all-star coach right now. He's with Justin Gaethje, and Kamaru Usman just left ATT because Gilbert Burns is an ATT fighter and his teammate. And for the fight, he was being coached by Trevor Whitman. So that's interesting as well because, Justin Gaethje is such an interesting fighter, such a tough striker, and he's about to fight Khabib, and you got to think that for, they are Khabib, Kamaru Usman, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, they've all been represented by Ali Abdelaziz, the manager. They all share the same manager. So Khabib's father, RIP, just passed away from COVID-19 complications in Moscow, which is horrible, and Khabib might not fight again this year. His father was such a big part of his fighting career, and he's done a lot for the sport. He's been a great coach. He's a big Sambo guy, big freestyle wrestling guy. And so that's a really tough loss for the MMA community. And Khabib, it's his father, family's being so important to him. You might not see Gaethje Khabib next in September. You might not see Khabib fight for a while. And who knows? He could. I don't think he'll retire. But who knows? What do I know? Hey, what do I know? I'm just a fan. I'm not a guy that knows anything. I just watch all the media stuff. That's why I know anything. But I don't know, man. The Kamaru Usman versus Masvidal is going to be an amazing fight. Rose Andrade going to be a great fight. Going to be a good. You got to expect Rose to go out there and piece her up because that's what she was doing. She was putting on a technical show before Andrade slammed her on her head and shit. It is illegal to slam people on their head on purpose in a UFC fight, but if somebody is holding a submission attempt in a slam and they're landed on their head, it's free game. So, which is probably the right move. You should be smart enough if you're about to be slammed on your head to let go of somebody's arm just so you can sprawl out. But not the case last time. But you got to think Andrade kind of has shorter reach and she squares up her shoulders and she comes in on kind of flurries with square punches before she'll go for a real power punch. And Rose is too good moving backwards, and she's a little long in her striking, and she's pretty smart, very proficient in her striking. So you got to give that one to Namajunas. Thug Rose. So the last fight that's billed on the card, I'm concerned about Yan and Aldo, Petr Yan and Jose Aldo. It's going to be I mean, like, Aldo lost to Marias. A lot of people thought that he won. So he got the number one contender fight just basically on Dana thought that he won the fight, and Aldo is a far bigger name. And if Aldo is in a title fight, it's just going to sell you a little bit more. People are used to him. Older fans are used to him. People that haven't bought pay-per-views in several years. So, hey, you got to think it's going to do something. Petr Yan is amazing. He's a really, really good fighter right now. And you got to think that if he goes out there and fucks up Jose Aldo, it's going to not be fun for anybody to see. And there's a good opportunity. I mean, Aldo's been knocked out now by Conor McGregor, got starched. Max Holloway finished him. You know, he hasn't been looking that great, and he's down a weight class. Who knows how easy the weight cut's going to be for him on, like, a short notice. And who knows if he just blows. It's not for a title. So what if he just blows the weight regardless? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see, because he doesn't look as thin as he looked last time. And last time he looked horrible. I mean, but he looked horrible physically. Like, he looked like he was dying. But he did look great in the fight. I mean, he didn't, like, aggress enough to win, like, concisively, but he still looked pretty good. His kicking game was pretty good. He hadn't been utilizing his kicks in a while. So it's good to see Aldo coming back. But all in all, it's going to be a pretty good fight card. And I will see if it's, like, goes horribly wrong and a disease breaks out and it ruins everybody's lives. You know, like, it's already ruined normal people's lives. That's what I'm interested in. Man, I'm so sore, dude. I've started running again, where I just moved in my beautiful new house, my beautiful new lavish house. Welcome to my cribs, it's MTV Cribs. Where I just moved, it's right by the Shelby Bottoms Green. There's a big greenway behind my house, and it's just like, it's straight up just an airstrip. It used to be an airstrip. There's like a base and like a bunch of airplane hangars, and it's just a big blacktop, like 2-mile loop. So I've been out there running. And my problem is when I exercise, I always exercise like I'm becoming an endurance athlete. Like, I don't understand that I'm a fragile person. And I'll just start running, like, I'm running like 3 and 4 miles a day and doing kickboxing workouts on the bag. And then, like, as soon as I'm done with the bag workout, I'm going out and running. I'm just like, today I woke up and I went and protested. So for 4 days in a row, I think I've ran 3 or 4 miles, like either 3 or 4. And then last night, I did the protest thing, which was like a 3-4 mile. Well, I mean, the original walk was like 3 miles, and then I probably had to walk a mile back to the car. And then when I got back, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out for a little run. And then I busted out another 4-mile run, and I just felt like shit. And now the middle of my back has this feeling in it that's just like, it's like somebody's in there and they're just out there pulling my shoulder blades together. That's what it feels like. I don't enjoy it. It's not nice for me. So I'm going to have to readjust. Like, I don't know what I eat like. I don't know what my diet's like. I've been trying to eat a lot more salads. Do a little salad. Y'all know with blue cheese? It's delicious. That's what I got in my life right now. That's what's interesting with me. You could probably see in my face. I'm like, what do I got going on? Salads. I'm running now. I'm running in a place where I moved and I'm eating a salad. That's what's going on in my life right now, you know? I'm trying to be employed, or I'm trying to get a little money doing something. And you know what? I realized that me on the podcast, just me, is like, why? Who cares? Which camera am I on? Who would listen? Nobody gives a shit. So next episode, I'm going to have a guest. I don't want to announce who it is yet because I don't know who it is, but I am going to get a guest. And we're gonna have a lot of fun. And I'm just trying to get more consistent with putting these out. I know I addressed it on the last episode. It's hard to be like, you know, people are talking about amplify black voices, and I'm just like a young white man trying to start his own comedy podcast and be a stand-up in a world where comedy's dead. And that's what I'm burdened with right now, is trying to produce a visually pleasing and entertaining program that no one's going to give a shit about, that 40 people will listen to, and then maybe I can get a couple people to share with 2 of their friends. And so that's what I'm trying to do right now. And maybe if I get a guest on, it's probably another white guy that's trying to be a stand-up when comedy's dead, then maybe that we can get 80 people to listen to it. And if that, 100% growth, that's growth, baby. And that's all we can ask for here on the podcast. So this one, we might go a little short on this episode. I'm going to try to figure out. I think we might do more music. I mean, we're for sure going to do more music in the future, but this is just the first episode in the new space. We're in the new studio. I'm going to think Studio D. Hey, how about that? We'll call it Studio D. And so I'm going to try to be bringing you episodes once a week for the time being, and then maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to get 2 in there. Going to start booking guests. We're going to start having all kinds of fun on here. I might do some segments as well, and I think I'm going to start some fan questions. I got to start an email. I think I already have one. I don't want to. It might be myroompodcast@gmail.com, but I'll look that up for sure. And so think about some fan questions next episode. I'll put it in the description what the email is. And if you want to ask me something on the show or give me something, ask me anything, we'll do it. We'll talk about sports, whatever the fuck is going on, because there's nothing to really do, nothing to talk about, and everybody's probably about to fucking start living a life of crime to start paying their bills because everybody's going to run out of money. So, hey, thanks for listening to the podcast, everybody. It's been a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe below to the podcast. Subscribe down here, please. And make sure you send the link, get the shareable link from YouTube and share it on your social media, or take it and text it to 2 of your friends. Tell them this shit fucking is horrible. You got to listen to this horrible guy trying to do this. Look how horrible he is. And you never sleep with him. And that's what, that's all I need. That's what I need from all of you. So don't sleep with me, but do share my podcast and just tell everybody to tune in. And next week we're going to have a guest. This has been episode 2 of the My Room Podcast. I'm David Chasteen. Thanks so much.